Heavenly Father, we come for you today thanking you for all the blessings you bestow on us. We ask for your strength and wisdom and guidance as we make decisions that affect the school board of Levy County. We ask that you make us better servants so that we can do as you want, not as we want. Ask your loving hand to reach out and touch all those folks suffering in our area and be with us, Lord, as we go through our daily walk of life and better serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Has everyone had a chance to read over the agenda? Are there any changes to the agenda?
The school visit.
School visit needs to be changed from Joyce Bullock Elementary in Williston to Yankee Town School.
We're also going to pull off the property item number C-1580. So we're going to double check that and we'll bring that back to the board.
1580.
Yes, sir. We may have a use for that.
All right. Any other changes to the agenda?
Yes.
All
I'll make
right.
a motion to approve with the changes.
I'd second it.
All right. We have a motion before us to adopt the agenda with the changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'd like to welcome any guests that have any non-agenda item they'd like to bring before us.
Mr. Chair, I do have an email that I'm going to read into the record. So,
Yes, sir.
to whom it may concern. So it says this is from Nick Knopp. Hello, hope all is well. I'm writing this concern the current student drop-off area at Chiefland Elementary. Within the last few weeks, staff has been getting kids out of vehicles in random spots in the parking lot area. I get that they are trying to speed up the line, but it's still a single file line. With that being said, there are gaps in between staff, so you're still stuck in a single file line. Now, the few parents without children are either stuck in line or trying to go around where there is clearly not enough room. If I would have pulled out today, I would have ran another car over because people are going around when they shouldn't be. Staff also told me if I can see a staff member, I can let my child out. Now, does that seem safe? Having children walk from the back of the parking lot near where the teachers parked, when to be honest, there's no supervision because they're getting kids out of cars. It is impossible for two staff members to watch kids spread out in the parking lot when the kids aren't as tall as the line of cars parked in front row. Something has to change because this is not working. I'm sure this is not the first you have heard this complaint. I'm just concerned with the current situation. Thank you for your time. So I will share that is the first complaint I have since Chief Linnell changed the drop off. So everything else have been positive comments. So with them taking away parking in the front and stationing staff members who open the doors. So
Okay. All righty. We'll move into there are no other public comments. We'll now call on Dr. Hall.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning.
So we're here today to celebrate Disability History and Awareness Week, which we've been doing for many years. Good morning to our school board members, our chair, Mr. Aspel, our school board attorney, David Delaney, Superintendent, Mr. Coward, our colleagues and guests in the audience. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you in celebration of Disability History Awareness Week. One of the activities that's been very popular in our department for over 8 years, that during this time frame, there are questions that are posed to all of our staff, and the first person who answers the question correctly receives a $25 voucher that they can use to provide supplies for their classroom. And so we've had 10 winners, and they're all very appreciative of that opportunity. So at this time, I have a very quick, and I do say quick, because you know my PowerPoints can be long, a very quick PowerPoint to share with you, and then we're going to move right into the highlight of this morning's celebration. So our top 5 accomplishments regarding our state performance plan, these are a few of our indicators whereby the state of Florida monitors very closely every district in the state. So this is our top 5 in Levy County. Our federal uniform graduation rate 85.7, remembering that our federal uniform graduation rate is based on 4 years graduating once you enter 9th grade. You know that our students with disabilities can remain in school through their 21st birthday, and they have that time frame to graduate. So at the federal level, they're only capturing students to graduate in 4 years, but the State Department also monitors the number of students who graduate within that year through 21. And usually that rate is about 99%. Almost every student graduates before they turn 22. But we also know if we lose one student, we've lost one student too many. But Levy County is really leading the way in the state when we talk about graduation. And I give all of the credit to our schools and staff that support our kids daily to make sure that they do reach this goal. The second is our least restrictive environment. We're at 78%, remembering that 80% of our students, this is how it's captured. If our students spend 80% or more of their time with their non-disabled peers, that's what the state is looking for. The state target is 85%, and it has been for the last 2 years. And in Levy County, we've dropped a little bit, so it's other districts, because we have to look at each student individually. Not every student are enrolled in gen ed classes throughout the day. Some of our students need more support, and that more support brings them or remove them from their classroom setting if they're non-disabled, but because we need to provide more support for those students. So I don't feel awful about the 78%. I'm a little disappointed though, because we have always led our tri-county areas in terms of LRE, and it's something that we're going to continue to work toward, but just remembering that it's individualized. Not every student needs the same thing every day like others do. Post-school outcomes, 64%. This represents students that leave our school system and they're either enrolled in higher education or they're working competitively. So collectively, about 65% of our students with disabilities are working or they're in higher education. Career and technical education, 60% of our students with disabilities are enrolled in career and technical education, which is awesome. These are our students at the secondary level. So there's a place for them, and they know that they are, and they're performing very well. Very proud of our students. And last, our top 5 accomplishments are our early child programs, ages 3 to 5. 89% of our students are receiving services with their non-disabled peers. Moving on, inclusive education. And our schools recognize that it's really important that to remember that our students with disabilities are general education students first. And I want to stress that sometimes we refer to our students as their disability, which is inappropriate, but we want to make sure that we all remember that our students are first Gen Ed students who need additional support known as specially designed instruction, that all learners, different learning styles and achievements are equally valued and respected and celebrated, that all learners are able to fulfill their potential by taking into account individual requirements and needs, that students with disabilities are valued of gen ed classrooms, so teachers hold high expectations. The days of lowering our standards for our students and predetermining what kids can do and show and learn, those days are gone. Our students teach and respond and respect our students for what they bring to the table. That our culture fosters positive, interdependent relationships and social responsibility among all students with and without disabilities. And that's the way it should be. And I tell you, our schools do a fine job. They see kids, they bring value to what they bring to the table in terms of their classroom setting, and they provide the additional support that those students need based on their IEP or even their 504 plan. And last but not least, special education is a service, not a place, which means that the services that our students need can be, and they are provided in the least restrictive environment. Moving on. So what is inclusion? I'm going to sum this all up very quickly. Our students are first Gen Ed students, I said previously, who can receive instruction in their non-disabled peers in a gen ed classroom, that our students receive their specially designed instruction within the school environment with their same age peers. I also want to share that we talk about inclusion a lot, and that it's twofold. Our students with disabilities certainly learn from their non-disabled peers more so than they would ever learn in any other environment. And our non-disabled peers also embrace our students as well. Because our goal in education is to prepare our young people to be diverse, to prepare them for life after high school. We live in an inclusive country, and so we need to prepare our students on both sides, how to embrace diversity and be very supportive. I've seen some wonderful acts of kindness and respect within our schools. So we're leading the way, I would say once again, in Levy County. There are some struggles, of course, and we work through those as well. Inclusion is all students learning together regardless of their labels. We don't determine a child's future based on the program in which they are being identified for. Again, the atmosphere is belonging, equality, there's collaboration, there's supports, there's sometimes adaptations, which John will share with us later, our student here today, within the gen ed curriculum. And again, can't stress that last bullet, highly effective research-based instruction and assessment. So all the things that I've shared with you this morning is applicable for every kid. Every kid needs just what I've shared with you, not just students with disabilities, not just non-disabled students, but everything that we have to give to our kids to prepare them for life after high school. And it's just a list, not all inclusive, but just a few things that our teachers do a fine job within the classroom setting in terms of meeting the diverse needs of our students, differentiated instruction, scaffolding, visual support, collaborative teaching, sometimes known as co-teaching. We don't have a lot of that this year in our schools because it's very costly to do so, but collaborative teaching, everyone benefits in that classroom. You have two teachers working side by side. One is an ESC teacher who has his or her ESC credentials, and the other is your gen ed teacher who knows the content area very well. Flexible grouping, all of us have heard of Universal Design for Learning. That's not an ESC initiative, that's something that's good for every kiddo in every class. Multi-sensory instruction, assistive technology, peer support. There's nothing more beautiful to have peers help each other. We sometimes think as adults that we have to be the one to lend the hand. We have to be the one to provide support. But it's a beautiful thing when peers come together and they work together and they help each other. Accommodations and modifications, of course. And so the next questions to ponder: why is it important, inclusion? Do disabilities prevent students from learning? What are the benefits of inclusion for students with disabilities? What are the challenges of inclusion? And what are some ways general educators and special educators can work together effectively? So I want to thank this board, as I always do, for your unwavering support to our students, every student, every day. It matters. So at this time, as I shared early on, the highlight of our morning today is to hear from one of our fine students. I'm going to ask Mr. Slim to come forward and introduce John.
So this is a great pleasure for me to introduce a fantastic young man. John is an amazing inspiration to students as well as the teachers and staff at school. He answers phones. He's all over the place. He helps other students. He continues to grow. He knows no limitations. Any challenge that he has, he takes it head on. He has a lot of confidence. He's probably a much better speaker than I am. I guess we're gonna find out. And it's amazing to watch him navigate the halls and just how far he's come. Highly intelligent young man, and he just brings a lot to the table. So without any further ado, John, come on up.
With his beautiful service animal, Dawson. So John's going to be at the podium. I'm going to stand to the side. I'm going to serve someone as a moderator. I'm going to ask John a few questions to share with the audience. And before I forget, we want to recognize Miss Lisa, John's mom, for being here this morning. Thank you so much. So John, you ready? Okay. So John, talk a little bit about what challenges have you faced as a student with a disability?
A few of the main challenges I faced, it's really due to nobody's fault, is kind of access to the curriculum. Like there might be certain platforms that are just inaccessible. For example, Edgenuity is a common platform that we use for either credit retrieval or just a few courses that you could take at the high school or even middle school for that matter. But the platform isn't accessible to my screen reader, so I can't navigate it independently. And another challenge that I face would be it still has to do with access to the curriculum, but it's like getting textbooks and stuff. Like ordering a textbook in Braille, even if I ordered it 6 months before the class actually begins, I'd be lucky if I got the first 3 volumes in before the first day of class. So it kind of just it's a challenge, but it's doable. So like with technology such as my screen reader, both JAWS and VoiceOver. JAWS is for the computer, VoiceOver is for my iPhone, and Braille, the embosser, which has helped out quite a bit. I've been able to have even more access to the curriculum than I would have otherwise, which is really important for my educational success.
Very good. Thank you, John. Thank you. The second question. So what advice would you give a student with a disability or a non-disabled student? Any advice you would give them as a student yourself?
Yes, as a student, you are your greatest advocate. So if you have any issues, the best thing you could do is speak up, because a lot of the people around you might not be aware that you're having a struggle with something. So like whether that be a teacher or an administrator, like they might see you in passing, but they're not aware that you're having an issue. Whether that issue be with having your accommodations met, which rarely ever happens, or maybe the issue is you need to tackle the problem a different way. Like maybe you know that you are better off typing something and it's more efficient for you to do that versus to braille it, but your teacher wants you to braille it. Stand up for yourself. Like say, I think this is better for me and I feel I could be more successful if I could do it this way or if I had this help.
Very good. Very good, John. So John, I know you have a lot to say about this particular question, but give us a second, if you will. What has been your most rewarding experience in school?
Oh, that one's easy. There's this other visually impaired girl. She's in 7th grade this year. I absolutely love working with her. It's been amazing to see how far she's come in learning Braille and technology and just succeeding in class. And I've really enjoyed getting to help us McLean and teach her some of her lessons.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. John, what are your career goals?
My career goals. I really want to be a TVI, so it's a teacher for students with visual disabilities. My plan is to attend FSU because they have a combined bachelor's and master's program there. So I can earn my master's/bachelor's in 3 years. And I really want to work at the Florida Center for the Blind there. Thank you.
Nice. Very, very good.
Follow, right?
Yeah.
Are there any questions for John from the audience, from our school board members, superintendent?
I think it's outstanding, his accomplishments and what he's done and through our school system. So you're an amazing young man.
Thank you so much.
He truly is. He truly
I don't have
is.
a question, but I'm going to share a story with John. So I guess it probably would have been January, February. I was at last year at Williston, and it was right about the time that I just finished 2.5 days with fads about safety and security, and the simplest thing being locked doors. And so I happened to be on campus at Williston and was going by and popping into classrooms. And the first couple of classrooms, I had to break out my keys, unlock the door, and go in. And all of a sudden, class change happened. And then I happened on this class, and the doors propped open. Students, no big deal because it's class change. Then class changes over, the gong, it's time to get into class. The door's still open. The door's still open. I sit down because I'm thinking to myself, how long is this teacher going to leave this door propped open? And it was probably about 5 to 7 minutes that I sat there, and I'm just geared up, ready to, when class is over, to fire off an email to this teacher saying, why are you not securing our doors? And in walks John and Dawson. So to my surprise. So I say all that. That was my first experience with John last January or February. So, and watching him navigate the halls and come into class, get seated, break out his stuff, and start right into class. So, and that was a math class. So I believe was where it was. So that Mr. Thompson maybe. So.
Very nice. Ms. Harms, I just want to make a comment to John. John, you're such an inspiration to all of us. This morning, we witnessed several students before the board meeting started, people that don't have disabilities, that have not taken advantage of the privilege of going to school, getting an education, and you are an exemplar. You are a perfect example of what a person can make of themselves. And I just want to tell you, you have inspired me. And you are a great role model for all of our students. And I love your goals that you have for your life. And you're going to be something awesome. You are becoming an amazing, awesome person. Thank you. Okay, so John, this is a little something from you, from us. So thank you so much for being with us. It's so nice to see you again, Jim. And as Ms. Harris has said, we're so proud of you and great things to come.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
John.
The back of John, to the back here. Right here. To your right.
So you can see, as I indicated early on, that this is really the highlight of our morning, to hear from a young person. So proud of John. And Beth McLean, our teacher of the visual impairment, could not be with us this morning, as she's providing services to other students in our district who has visual impairments and would have loved to have been here. She has been awesome in working with John. I mean, just relentless. I met John in middle school at Willison Middle School. I assisted in chaperoning, I think they were the 8th graders that year, in Orlando at John Smiley. What was the name of the place we went? Oh, Animal Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And got to know John, and boy, he's a ball of fire. Love him ever since. Thank you so much for sharing all those words of advice and guidance for those students who are coming alongside you. We as adults are always learning about what we need to do to provide support to our students. So collectively, we can certainly do this. And advocating, you're on it. You have to advocate. When you move on to post-secondary, there is no IEP, but they all have a disability awareness, a disability office, and you have to self-disclose and self-advocate. And so, of course, you're going to do quite well. You already have those skills. Again, thank you for being here. So the last thing we're going to do is a resolution that will bring closure to my presentation. Whereas the first 2 weeks of October have been designated as Disability History and Awareness Weeks by the Florida State Legislature. Whereas since 1975, students with disabilities have been educated in Levy County Public School System with the passing of Public Law 94-142 by Congress. Whereas School Board of Levy County has over 800 teachers, administrators, paraeducators, contracted staff, and support staff committed to providing quality educational services to students with disabilities. Whereas exceptional student education offers students with disabilities experiences, as we've heard today, and opportunities that will enable individuals to obtain post-secondary education, enter the workforce, and contribute to their communities. Whereas School Board of Levy County has approximately 1,200 students identified with special needs who receive a quality education in the least restrictive environment. Whereas the School Board of Levy County supports the goal of disability history awareness education would continue to facilitate supportive environments for all students, better treatment of individuals with disabilities, and increased attention to preventing the bullying or harassment of students with disabilities. Therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Levy County does hereby proclaim the first 2 weeks of October as Disability History and Awareness Weeks. Be it further resolved that the School Board of Levy County and the Superintendent of Schools reaffirm the local, state, and federal commitment to full inclusion and equal opportunity for all students with disabilities. Passed and adopted this 26th day of October, 2021. There's a place for our chairman, Mr. Asbell, and of course our superintendent, Mr. Coward, to sign. Thank you so much.
Do I hear a motion to approve that resolution?
I make a motion to approve the resolution. A second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
If you, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. If that way John can get back to school and him and Dawson.
That's right.
No objection to it. We also need to remove from the inventory list, item C12799, the heater mobile cabinets. Is there any objection to us removing that at this time?
No objection.
All right, so that is removed from the item. We'll now call on Mr. John Lott with a little update for us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know we have not done an update in quite a while on our new Chiefland Middle High School project. And so we thought it'd be a good time to sort of get you up to speed. First of all, as you know, phase 1 is completed and we have occupied that building. For the most part, everything has gone very smooth. I think the reviews by the staff and everyone who has been in has been very good. There are a couple of minor issues. One with the HVAC system, and of course it's very sophisticated and very high tech. And there were some issues with the dehumidification cycle. We've worked on that with the engineers, and Mac Huber from on our end has worked with them. And so I think we have just about got that ironed out. And there was a few issues with some of the doors, the automatic door locks and so forth. Some of that. And so these are all lessons learned that we can apply when we move into phase 2, which is where we're at now. So currently we are in phase 2. I don't have a lot of fancy pictures for you today because quite honestly, the phase where we're at in this phase, there aren't a lot of things on the inside, but we're going to do a little flyover for you. Morgan can get that started. You can see that this is actually was done a week ago. They did not fly yesterday because of the weather. So you can see that they're starting to put the roof on and the underlayment there on top of the metal roof. The trusses are being put in, and those are all done for the most part at this stage, except for that far end, which is the media center. We'll go over the blueprints for you so you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at here in the entire scope. So at this point, trusses are on. They're also working on all the exterior walls and the interior walls have been completed at this point. They are working on the brickwork that goes on the outside of the block walls as we speak. And you'll see some of that on this as we circle around. And so they're continuing that. And everything is on schedule. You'll see in the lower left there, I just want to point out that little square area, that is going to be a covered patio area that is outside of our existing cafeteria, which has been phenomenal. It's a great facility there. That will be an outside area that will be covered for the students to eat outside, and we'll, of course, have tables and things like that when all is said and done. But everything is going well. So stop it right there for me, Morgan. Let's go to the other picture real quick. And so I want to show a little bit on the mezzanine, and then I want you to go back to that where where you're at. All right, so this is just a little bit of, we're not looking at the McDonald's. So I just want to kind of point out a little bit more detail about the mezzanine. The mezzanine, as you can see here, this part on the very bottom has been completed, but this is the structural part. So you basically have a metal roof or a floor for the mezzanine in this case. And on top of that, they put that wire that's at the very bottom, and then they pour about 6 to 8 inches of concrete on top of that. So I'm telling you guys, if we were ever in a tornado situation, this is probably the safest place in all of Levy County to be, is inside that interior hallway, because it is totally protected, and it's a very solid bunker, really. So I feel very good about that in case of any kind of inclement weather. Now, Maureen, can you go back to the other, just to show us? So this is where we're at. Now, if you will, I included in your packet or on the outside of the packet some blueprints. So I just want to kind of show you real quick. You can just freeze it, Morgan. Okay, so if you're looking at this, obviously north is that way, okay? So this lays out just like this, the way we're looking now. So this front part here is going to be all of your admin. This will be where your principal, your reception area, offices for the deans, the assistant principal, guidance, the graduation coach. Those mainly are administrative offices. And then further to the west, which is the part where you see the red covering on top of the roof, that whole area is over here. And so you'll see that there's some science labs and some the health room, the health academy is over there, some CTE, there's a couple of business labs, and there's some more just regular computer labs over in that area. Now, if we go north, so you see where the T starts and then the area that goes north, that whole sort of center area there, which is just beginning to get trusses on, those are all our regular middle school classrooms. So everything you see here basically is the part where we were starting to see trusses. So this is what they call the 500 building, 500 portion. Okay, now if you go to the second page, the second page here is really the blueprint for the far end, which, as we saw on the flyover, that's the part up there that does not quite have the trusses on it, at least in this video. And you'll see that is the media center. There's also on the far back, or the far west side in this case, that is the band room, and all of that is included in that area. And there's a teacher resource room in this area, and a lot of other smaller workroom type. This library or media center is set up much like the media center in Williston, from a standpoint of, media centers today are, from a modern standpoint, are less about the actual books, but there are areas there for the kids to work together in small groups on projects, to use their laptops and computers to do research and so forth and so on. So, any questions about any of that so far? Okay. I just thought I'd share with you also where we're at as far as the money part of it goes. I do want to say that money is tight. We are doing all we can from the standpoint of purchasing as much as we can as an owner, direct purchase. We have purchased close to $5 million worth of materials at this point. We have saved over $300,000 on the project from direct purchase so far. And we do expect that figure to continue to grow as we try to pinch every penny we can out of this project and then turn it back into other things that we may need later on within the project. Over 300,000 is impressive, and I do want to say that that is really all because of the work that Paris McCall has done and our architect CRA, Ms. Ann Kroll, and the finance department in particular, Ms. Charette and Ms. Carey out there. The amount of purchase orders that they process, all of the paperwork is, I was organizing my hard drive folder yesterday, and I was like, I cannot even believe how many purchase orders they have processed to get to where we're at today. So a lot of this credit goes to them. The money is tight. I will say that there are some challenges involved with this that we didn't face in our previous projects. And honestly, even in the beginnings of phase one, we didn't face these type of challenges like price escalations, which are really a direct result or indirect result of COVID. The supply chain issues, we are working, and Paris McCall and has done a great job in trying to be proactive on that and make sure that as we plan ahead, we have the materials on site. If you notice, there's a lot of materials laying around out there. All of the things like the trusses, we had gotten way ahead of time when we needed them. We stored them there, so whenever we need them, they're there. And it doesn't cause any undue delays. One of the challenges, obviously, with this project is that this has to be finished, to stay on schedule for next year. This will all be hopefully done by the end of May, and we'll be moving into this thing come June. And then, of course, we'll have kids in there next August. So because of that, we cannot experience undue delays in getting this project done, and that includes the supply chain. So quite challenging. All the metal roofing we bought way ahead of time. The contractor or subcontractor went all across the state, not to find the metal roofing, but to find the actual screws that go into the metal roofing. He had to go all over the state just to get enough supply to complete this project. So very challenging in regard to that. And of course, any project this size, there are contingency funds that are built into the project. And I would say that it was almost $600,000 that we originally had as far as contingency. And because of the escalation in prices, we are down to $135,000. So we have almost expended all of our contingency funds at this point, and we are, as you can see, not really even close to really finishing phase two yet. That is a concern. The superintendent and I and Paris McCall and all of us have been discussing that, and we have sought some relief from the state in regard to requesting some additional funding for this project. And I don't know, Mr. Superintendent, do you want to speak to that, where we're at with that?
I filled out the appropriations form, so I have a follow-up call with Kim McDougall with Gray Robinson tomorrow. We're looking at 1.49 is what the figure that will be additional funds that we'll be asking for. So every single one of the 6 special facility projects that have been approved are all awaiting any funds to encumber. So that has created a little bit of a cash flow issue for us, because even though it's been approved by the legislature in their budget, signed by the governor, those dollars have not started yet flowing for year 2 and year 3. I feel a lot better than some of the other districts whenever you have projects that have just started site work and they're coming back to the drawing table asking for somewhere between 15 million and 18 million just to get the project going. So in one regard, we're very, very blessed that our project is this far along. We just need the spigot to kind of turn on from DOE to help us be able to pay some bills. So make sure that we don't get any further in a bind. So I was assured that we did not need to go out for a bridge loan. So Ms. Lake and I had labored over that for about 2 weeks, and we finally were able to get Ms. Pridgeon on the phone at DOE, who's over finance side of things, and she assured me that we did not need to do that. That way, that would not erode and cause further increases of cost or take away from this project with having to incur those costs. So we're anxious, to say the least, but we're very optimistic. And as I shared with Ms. Pridgeon, you can rest assured if I call you, I'm sounding the alarm. I'm not going to call you about a small thing. And so she knows how dire this is. We're in a situation that two people are head to head, being US DOE and Florida DOE, and we're caught in the middle, but she assured me that we would have some relief. So hopefully here in the next couple weeks.
Yes, and that concern is great. Obviously, if we don't have the money to pay Parish McCall, then the whole project is delayed. So we can't have that, and so that bridge loan possibility is, hopefully we won't have to do that, but we have to stay on schedule because, again, kids will be there in August. And we have to have this phase of the project complete. That said, we are on schedule. Despite all those challenges, it should be dried in, this whole section, and that's the 500 and 600 buildings should all be roofed and dried in by the middle of November. So that's the schedule. We're on schedule, and so hopefully we won't see any delays that will prevent that from happening. I will say, and I don't know if the superintendent has sent this or not, but Parish McCall is inviting all of you to a top off, which is when they get it all dried in, they usually have a little celebration. I know they have one for phase 1 and they're going to have one for phase 2, and that will be December 3rd at 11:45, and it will actually be in that far section there, the far northern section of this phase, in the what will be the media center. So that'll be, again, that's December 3rd at 11:45. So hopefully you can join us there, and we can walk around and see where we're at that stage. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
I think they're really working hard. I see them up there all hours, early, late. They are really pushing. And I certainly want to do our part for pushing for fundings and anything that we can do. Whoever we need to speak to.
I'll have a little bit better idea after tomorrow's call with them. And but I wanted to be ahead, so I did have a little bit of time so I could kind of go back through our forms and tweak them. So, and that's part of the reason for the phone call. But yes, ma'am, we are ahead on that side of things. So of knowing to get that in for appropriations for this year.
Thank you.
I like the outdoor eating area. That sounds crazy. I think that ought to be at every school. Being cooped up all day long, gotta get some sunshine on you. That'd be great. I'll implement that everywhere. Anyway, thank you. All right, Ms. Ruiz.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to quickly share about the FAST conference I went to last week. This is Florida Association of Science Teachers. Myself, Ms. Richardson, principal or assistant principal at Wilson L, and Ms. Fugit, the STEAM teacher at Wilson Elementary, got to go. The primary reason for us going was to attend this workshop put on by Florida DAX and the Division of Aquaculture and Florida Ag in the Classroom for the aquaponics project that they're doing. Ms. Fugit and Ms. Horner from Wilsonville High School were two of the teachers that were selected in the initial pilot of this program. So their project was completely funded, and in return, they wrote a lesson plan to go with it. Basically, aquaponics is taking aquaculture and hydroponics and putting it together. So they had a desktop, basically fish tank, and then they grow plants on top of it. And so the fish give the plants what they need, the plants give the fish what they need. It was a pretty cool project. The kids got to learn a lot from it, including nitrogen cycle, life cycles, how to take care of the fish, feed the fish, and what kind of plants to grow. The project was successful and they're looking to do it again. They're going to do phase 2 and they're looking for more teachers, 5 elementary schools and 5 secondary schools to continue the project. So I'm going to work with Jennifer Morgenthau from Florida Ag in the Classroom to try to see if we have any Levy County teachers that are interested. It was really proud Levy moment that we're in this room full of educators across the state of Florida, and our Levy teachers were the ones that got to pilot this and share. And because we were there in person, they could ask questions and really get their feedback, and they could explain, things that worked really well, things that didn't, and how they went about building the lesson plan. So it was really neat. There's also a stipend attached to this for if any teachers are interested in doing it, so that's kind of cool. It's funded and they get that. The lesson plan that they built focused on the science side of it, but Florida Ag in the Classroom also embedded literacy standards and writing standards to make it all-encompassing for anybody who wanted to participate in the project. The other thing that we did was we went to a bunch of different sessions. They're listed there. Navigating Nature of Science was something that we do anyway. We usually start a Nature of Science unit at the beginning of the school year. It's very explicit instruction, and then we embed it in everything, in every other unit, science unit throughout the year. So that was just kind of showing us what we already do, but how to enhance it. So that was awesome. Claim, evidence, and reasoning session that we went to is just a strategy that is not new. It's been around for a while. I've done it as a reading teacher, but they made the connection of using that strategy specifically in the scientific method when you're doing your conclusions of experiments. So that was really neat to see that reading strategy and how it would support science projects and experiments. Early childhood STEM was another one we went to. That was just showing how STEM can be embedded as early as pre-K and kindergarten. So that was kind of neat to share with, we'll share that with Becky Childs and see if she wants to do anything with that. Putting STEM into action was another way of just integrating STEM activities and lessons into reading blocks and math blocks, and that it doesn't just have to be a STEM class. And the last one we went to was Legends of Learning. We did purchase that this year for 5th grade and 8th grade. It's a game-based learning platform. They can take quizzes and lessons, but the primary purpose of that website is they create like action figure characters and practice science standards. The cool thing about it is that it spirals in old standards from previous grade levels to help them on that assessment. In 5th grade, which covers 3rd and 4th grade skills, and 8th grade, which covers 6th and 7th. I got to meet our rep in person and have some good conversation with him about things that are working well or things that we can do to improve. So it's kind of neat to meet him and talk those things through. The last thing we did was visit the vendor exhibits. Some of these we've already worked with in the past, but because of COVID, things were slowed down and not working. For example, Diamond Dell, they have a trailer that they used to bring, and the kids would mine rocks, and then they would teach them about them. They actually, because of COVID, lost all their funding and lost their trucks, but they have revamped their whole program to come into classrooms and do it. So that was something that we learned that they're doing, and we're going to partner with them again and get them into some classrooms. Skype the Scientist, again, that's something that we've done in the past, but at the conference, we learned that they've added a ton of scientists to their pool. So they now almost have 6,000 scientists that we could pair from or choose from. And so you kind of fill out the application telling them what you're looking for, and they pair you with someone. That scientist zooms in, and it's neat because it's not a recording. Your students can ask the scientist questions immediately. Florida Ag in the Classroom, again, we met with them at their booth and learned about other projects and grants that are available. Very excited about some projects that we might can get started. One of which is doing an incubator to hatch chicken eggs in our elementary school STEAM classes. And then the question was, well, then what do we do with the chickens? So the next part of that would be to build chicken coops at our high schools, and our animal science classes can use them. And then also, if any FFA members want to show the chickens, they could. So I like these projects that kind of touch a lot of groups of students, and that when they start in elementary school and then they go to the high school, they continue to see their work. I've talked with Jamie, Brandon, and Breezy, trying to get some teachers on board for that. Williston is on board. Bronson I haven't talked to yet, but I'm sure, I think Kelby would be interested. And so just have to make those connections and help them write the grants, but that'd be a really cool project. Another one that they do, Wilson Elementary right now is starting a compost pile. They're using their worms, starting a whole compost pile using leftover fruits and vegetables from the cafeteria. And then they in turn want to use that to build a garden. The cool thing about the garden is it's something that a lot of our classes wouldn't normally have the time to do, but because we have those STEAM classes, they can focus on that enrichment side, building it, taking care of it. But then our 3rd and 4th grade classes could come out and use the plants for plant life cycles. What do plants need to survive? So even though the STEAM classes are building it, all of our other classes could really benefit. Visible biology and visible A&P. That was, we have some Title IV funds coming up, specifically for STEAM in secondary schools. And that is a 3D simulation of biology, organs. They have virtual dissections and putting apart and together skeletons and all the organ systems. So that might be something that we can look into, but they've agreed to let us pilot it at one school. So I'm going to reach out to our biology teachers across the district, see who's interested, and at least we can try it before we spend any money. Same thing with Modic microscopes. I was really blown away and impressed with them. They have not only microscopes that you use, but they connect to your smart boards. So you can see what the students are seeing, and you can throw them up there, multiple kids at a time, and compare the specimens that they're looking at. So that was really neat. Florida Scientists in Every Classroom. We currently partner with Alan Ivory for that. He's phenomenal. He is definitely more of a biology background, but he is willing to tie in whatever you need in your classroom. He will come and present. He does a lot of hands-on things with students. So we got to see them in person and talk about what schools they've been to already in Levy County and getting them into the ones that they're not. Marine lab field trips. We used to do this. We used to take students to Cedar Key, and it was a phenomenal trip. Any teacher that's ever gone will probably tell you it was their most favorite field trip. The number of Levy County kids that have never been on a boat or been to Cedar Key when we live right here is crazy. Unfortunately, it was grant funded, and that is no longer an option. So it's a very expensive field trip, and a lot of parents won't pay it to go to Cedar Key versus they'll pay to go to like Animal Kingdom or something like that. So we did meet though marine lab field trips that they do it and they fund it for Title I schools. So even though we can't go to Cedar Key, we might be able to get field trips to other parts of the state of Florida. And then the last one, IFAS Extension, they do a lot of work with Florida citrus and fresh fruits and vegetables in the state of Florida. So I've talked with Julia and I'll get with Natalie about how their resources can help support their fresh fruits and vegetables that they presented on at the last board meeting. So I'm very appreciative that I got to go, that the district sent us. We obviously learned a lot and met a lot of people that found a lot of resources that we can bring back to our district. So it was definitely worth it. And I'm excited for these projects a lot of little projects that all come together and touch multiple groups of students. So that was it.
That's great.
Thank you.
I'm excited too. When you think about our kids in the COVID world that they've lived in for 2 years, I've said it before, I'm a big fan of STEM, hands-on. I think that's the way a lot of our kids learn. So this is all exciting.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
All right. We have a motion before us to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move to our consent agenda. Ms. Clemency, do you have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Do we need to make any changes other than what we already did?
Just a comment, just the new position for the district secondary school counselor. That's an exciting position. I look forward to
Mrs. Brickett?
I think everything's been questioned, and on the surplus, that's gonna be sold and posted where? We've done different things over the years. Gov deals. Thank you, that's all the questions that I have.
Mrs. Boyle?
I've spoken to Mr. Howard, and he's getting back to me on just one other item under D1I, is that cost of a credit within that new contract.
So the cost is per student. So the total cost for that contract is $8,700. It's $29 per student, and that's a quantity of 300 kids. So, which gives us an opportunity to earn back $32,000 in industry certifications. So it's should be revenue neutral, actually revenue positive. So that's the reason. So that we're bringing that to the board.
And thank you, Mr. Howard. And all my other questions have been answered.
All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda in addition to.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Even though you're not on here, I'll let you have some comments. if you'd like. I thought it was great. Can we keep that?
I kept making so many changes.
You missed your chance.
I missed my chance. Well,
Sorry about that.
the gala was a wonderful success. Ms. Annie Whitehurst, our executive director of the school foundation, along with the good Bronson graduate Angie Phillips as our gala chair this year. It was phenomenal. I mean, the decorations and what they did to transform the Williston Middle High School cafeteria. So kudos to them. And then a big kudos to Miss Julia and her crew. The food was very, very delicious, timely. So unfortunately in those events, I never get to eat. I get about 3 bites. So just with the way, that's just the way it goes. So it's a good thing, the good Lord. So it's blessed me with a few extra pounds. So to kind of get me through not being able to eat that delicious meal. So, but Miss Julia, would you just kind of share what goes on and what that happens whenever you guys do that? So I think you shared a little bit about in your email. I just thought maybe the board members would like to hear what. So
As far as it being done by the Levy County,
yes, ma'am.
It's actually not done by the school, within the school board of Levy County. We have volunteers from the food service department under the Levy County School Nutrition Association. Every one of the people that work the event donate their time, and we are given money by the Levy County Schools Foundation to do the event. They donate money to our association, which in turn then turns around and we give back to the school with giving 4 selected seniors, high school seniors, at the end of the year we give them scholarships. So in turn, it's just money just turning back around, but they're again also doing it for the students because that's what we're out there for.
So I just wanted to highlight that those ladies and gentlemen come in, volunteer their time, the dollars that they get for that meal then goes back right into our students. So, and I think that's just amazing. And I think that just shows the kind of people that we have working for us. And I want to highlight that. So, and we also know that the gala would never get started off the ground if maintenance didn't help deliver tables and chairs and get us set up. So they do all the heavy lifting both before and after. So appreciate Breezy and his crew there for what they did. So, and then the last thing is, a big portion of that. So, we're still waiting on some final expenses. So, but it looks like about $39,000 is what was raised before expenses were taken out. And a big portion of that is our schools and the baskets that they bring for the silent auction. And so just kudos to them, because I know that's not an easy task. I know the people that take that on, that have to go ask for donations or go and spend money out of their pocket to create those beautiful baskets that we then sell at auction. So just appreciate them, their efforts, and appreciate our district staff for having a basket also. So we mentioned about special facilities, so I'm not going to belabor that point. I will be sharing with you all. So once all the appropriation forms are filled out, I'll share them with you all to show after I go over it with our lobbyists tomorrow on where those are. And that way we can then start being advocates for ourselves on that process. So last two things. So you can see the excitement. So I wanted Michelle to present to you guys to show that we're trying to go find new things, bring them back and push them back into our schools and create new opportunities for our students that they may have not had, or maybe opportunities that were only in certain schools that we can make sure that it's being communicated throughout the county on some opportunities out there for them. So appreciate her because she's started this week. Textbook adoption started this week. So yesterday she was in Gainesville all day along with some of our district staff and some people from the different communities, and we'll be there again tomorrow for textbook adoption as we're starting that process. So, and the last thing that I leave you with is that I'm not sure, you probably saw this, but Royalty visited some of our elementary schools, and that we had the Chiefland Watermelon Queen, so a good Chiefland graduate. So Miss Beecham visited and read to our students, and that went through all of our elementaries, had an opportunity to be read by the Chiefland Watermelon Queen. So appreciate a student giving back and coming back. So just want to highlight that, because I think that's a big deal.
That's cool. Thank you, sir. We'll start with board comments. Let's start with Mr. Bullford.
I will bring up the Seafood Festival. The programs that were involved in the Seafood Festival in Cedar Key: Safety Patrol, kindergarten, first, fourth, juniors, seniors, baseball, SGA, FFA, and weightlifting. And I checked on the totals yesterday, and before expenses, it's almost $26,000.
Wow, that's great.
So there's a lot that's going to be able to take place for the kids and in all their different classes and everything that they have to, the juniors and seniors having so many activities. So they were excited about that. And to kind of go back on what Ms. Ruiz experienced at the conference, the aquaculture team or group went to Evans Farms. It's in Volusia County, and it's a sturgeon farm. And it was amazing. I was blessed enough to go with the kids and Mrs. Wetherington and her husband Cody. This farm, there was a husband and wife that actually built it, and they believe in recycling almost everything, and they built it from the ground up. I mean, dug ponds on their own and did everything. But the kids saw everything that they've done for all these years and then where they are now. And they do more than just raise sturgeons for caviar. And all the kids got to taste caviar the correct Russian way, putting it on your on your hand. There was only one that didn't get it fully. But it was a lot of fun, and they learned so much. The gala was great, and I don't think you could have got any more food on that plate. There was so much food on the one plate. Thank you for that. And the Fall Festival in Cedar Key is coming up this Friday from 5 to 7. So that'll be a good time. We're trying to do lots and lots of different activities. Just on a little side note, Little Anna's memorial service, for anyone that needs to know, will be Friday as well. They're debating on start time, so it might be 4:30 or 5:30. But either way, it'll be at the First Baptist Church down in Cedar Key. And the only couple other notes that I've been thinking about and just wanted to bring up maybe for future meetings. It's, something that Mrs. Brookins brought up a while ago, Mr. Etheridge, is all that data that Melissa had put through in that email maybe could come and just be broken down verbally and look at the data of where we were and where we are now with the testing and so forth. And then the supplemental pay, just kind of review that and see where we are with coaches and teams and all that Mr. Etheridge brought up a while ago. And that's it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brookins.
I just want to follow up a little bit from the letter that Mr. Cowart read, starting with the comments. That's the first report I've heard for our Chiefland Elementary pickup area, a negative comment about that pickup area. I ask daily just about Mr. Cowart and in touch with that. And I think, and we have meetings, and our school has done everything possible. Safety is our main concern. We're trying all options. We're working with all departments in our county and doing everything possible for that pickup area. And then when you go and speak to other counties about things that they're doing, it really is it's an issue all over. It's an issue with Trenton. It's an issue with other schools and other states. So we are being proactive. We're constantly seeking and for alternatives, ways to provide the best pickup, drop-off area for that school. So all I can say is that we are continually trying, and we still get letters and positive, negative, whatever, but I can say that we are actively seeking the best possible way for that area.
As I said, with the drop-off, which when they took away parking from the front area to add more areas for people to pull up with staff, they've got extra staff out there. That is the first since we made that change, negative. Everything I've heard on the drop-off has been positive. So I am going to see the city manager about our other option. So she was, they work 4/10, so she was not available last week whenever I was available. So today it's on my list to see her to share with our new idea and try and implement that in place. So,
right. And it may not be exactly perfect and nothing's going to suit everybody, but we really sincerely are trying, and everybody's a part of it, and they're working on it. So I just want to say that Chiefland High School had a great homecoming week. It was just also positive and great school spirit, and working with a lot of students at high school students. The dance that they went to at the new cafeteria, they were just thrilled, excited. Everything's so positive. So I thought that was wonderful. And then also, and along with that good spirit, the Chiefland High School is doing great, and their football team, and they're hosting the Sunshine Conference this Friday night, Holmes County. So I think that's wonderful too. And then kind of to follow up with the ag in the classrooms that you mentioned, I think we have a program at Chiefland Elementary. It's an all beef for ag in the classroom, and the kids are super excited about beef hot dogs. So I think that's coming up too. But all these things are great, and thanks for everything everybody's doing in our schools.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Clemente.
Something Mr. Cowart said earlier in his remarks, saying bringing things back the way they used to be. If I had $1, my kids had $1 for every time I say that. But I'm just super excited about Ms. Ruiz's presentation. We did the incubation in middle school. We dissected frogs. We dissected cats, which was kind of traumatic. Did you? Yeah. But Cedar Key, marine biology, all these hands-on projects. Our teachers used to pull us out of the classroom to physics to show us what velocity was, hands-on things. So I'm super excited about going back to the way we used to do things. The gala was amazing. I was going to say shout out to Miss Julia too. I saw her running around, and my oldest was one of the servers and asked me for money after because he said there was no food left. And I'm like, there's no way. He said, everybody ate it, but it was delicious. It was just an amazing night. I love seeing all of our kids, Bronson Chiefland, Cedar Key, I don't think they didn't have,
No, there were no kids.
yeah, but the chants and the cheers and just our whole county getting together, I thought it was just an amazing night. It was wonderful. Yankeetown, we had a parent night that was very successful. We're getting a lot of turnouts on our open house parent night activities that we do, and excited to go there after our board meeting to have a school tour today. And because Brad's not here, I'm going to say good luck to the Williston football team. We're going to Cottondale, of all places, on Friday. It's a ride. Yeah. Yeah. So we have a big bus and we're leaving, I think, at 1 on Friday. So that's it.
Excellent. Excellent. Cottondale is a ride.
It is a ride.
Go ahead and eat before you get there. I want to reiterate a couple things, and I have a couple things. Nothing major. I enjoyed the gala, but for different reasons. I've had me a streak going on for several years of managing to not get on the stage, and thanks to Miss Boyle, I didn't have to this year. And I appreciate that. And she was willing to go up for us and represent the school board up there. And I enjoyed sitting with you that night. We were at the same table. And I enjoy that stuff. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I get lost in the auctions and all that because I get busy talking and visiting with friends. And, how often I never put on a suit unless something's happening. And so that was great. Food was great. Now, I do have a problem. I tried to bribe a couple of those sketchy Chiefland kids to bring me a ham sandwich out the back, but they were gone. And so, but next time, let's plan a little extra for me, just a little. He doesn't eat his, just put mine to the back for him. But I thought it was a great night. And all this reference, I know, now I'm going to get on to something that I think is not great. We've referenced football multiple times. Last Friday night, Bronson High School, it's been talked about in the town. I've never seen a team come to a town that was bound, bent, and determined to hurt a football player, as they were. A school called Monroe came to play Bronson, and at the end of the first half, Monroe High School had 19 penalties for 240 yards. The bulk of them unnecessary roughness and unsportsmanlike conduct. I'll tell you this to tell you, I'd never witnessed this. In the third quarter, when the fans cheered for the fact that they had finally hurt the kid they had targeted all night, they cheered and they rang cowbells and made loud noises. As the ambulance drove off with that child, they cheered. Our principal walked out to the ref in the middle of the game and said, "You are not doing your job. Your job as an official is to protect these children." And the official laughed. He said, "What do you want me to do?" Well, there comes a point when enough is enough. And at that time, our principal said, "You can leave my school. We don't need you back. And you can take the people from Monroe back." And my kudos goes to our principal for stepping up in that moment to protect children, which is what we really want to do. And for law enforcement that was there, because it was getting way out of hand. Law enforcement was there, escorted the other school out, made sure our children stayed where they were, made sure that our players stayed in the locker room after it was over with. And it was one of those things, you don't see that often in a high school football game. There's usually, win or lose, there's usually good sportsmanship. There's usually that, mutual respect. Nobody tries to intentionally, but I witnessed a team whose coach had no control over it, and they were out to hurt other children. And I witnessed Florida High School Athletic Association officials that had no control over a game and did not seem to be concerned. But the bigger thing I witnessed was a principal that went out of his way to protect his children and the parents and the community. And I think that should be commended. So I think that there was a bad spot, but a good spot came out of it. The other thing I also want to bring up to you, you probably all have this flyer. Anybody that likes shrimp? We're having the Bronson FFA chapter is having I guess it's going to become an annual thing. The FFA alumni will have their low country boil. And if you know a guy named Cameron Asbell, he can get you some tickets to it. Play your cards right. He can probably get you moved up in line because he knows where it's going to be served at. But we'd love your support on that. Money raised from that goes to scholarships for graduating seniors through our FFA program. I think this was a great meeting. I will also say this. Sometimes we have those meetings that are terrible meetings. This was a good meeting in that you saw lots of good things. There wasn't, oh man, the budget this and all this. It was, we got school coming. We got some great ideas about classrooms and disability awareness. And we usually have some press related folks that are here they generally show up when it's bad stuff. And those press folks weren't here. I don't know who these young ladies are. You may be press, but the press needs to be here for good stuff too. Is all I'm saying. Yeah, it would have been nice to see them. So that is all I have. There's no further business. We will be doing a school visit to Yankeetown School.
We have a short executive.
We have a short executive session.
How's that student?
Ma'am?
Student.
The student, they checked him out. He's got a deep bruise. But he's fine. He's going to be back. He outstanding kid. And how he didn't lose his patience with it, I don't know. They would have him down and be punching him in his knee, that kind of stuff. And then there were times that they would, get some guy down and grab him by his shoulder pads, pick him up, boom, and beat him on the ground. And crazy things happening in that game, and you just sit there going, "Holy moly!" Couldn't believe it. This will tell you all you need to know about the way they played. The opening kickoff, they got the ball. Started 1st and 10 on about the 45-yard line. Their possession ended 4 down and 45. And it wasn't because we were playing great defense. It was because of all the penalties. Now, Boston played one of the best games they've played, but when you got people trying to hurt you and no regard, it's amazing. It's amazing. Something needs to be done about schools like that. I'm glad we have good schools in our school system. It doesn't do that in our area. So, anyway, if nothing else, meeting is adjourned.